All right, a little weirdness, a little broadband technicality issues going on there. Hey, buddy, thanks for listening in and watching us on the simulcast over YouTube. Hello out there in the YouTube world. You're listening to Let's Talk VO. I'm driving this airplane right through the inner space, and I got my co-pilots in the cabin with me here. Bev Standing, of course, is with us, and we are also inviting and thanking for showing up D. Alvis for being part of it. You could have caught both of them at VO Atlanta this year, and if you didn't, make sure you take advantage of that 25% discount that Jay Michael has been so nice to give all of us and all of our listeners here at VO Radio and Let's Talk VO. You can use the code, go through the website, check it out, and find the code, and you get your 25% off the video replay of 25, 24, and 23, believe it or not, video replays. So really a substantial savings, and you can then catch all of our people that were involved in the show and involved as well here on VO Radio. So, hey, thanks to our sponsors to get things rolling right away. I'm going to make sure I say thanks to VoiceOver Extra, the VoiceOver Resource Guide, the VoiceOver Collective, and Nava. And don't forget, you can reach us by zooming in, calling on Zoom via the Zoom links that are on the website at Let's Talk VO at the website there. And you can also text us and or even do it the old-fashioned way, email us in. The text number is 970-682-3424 if you want to write that down. I don't know if you can or not that quick, but it's 970-682-3424. Hey, in a few minutes, we got Mark Cashman joining us. So stick around about 10 minutes. He'll be joining us. And we're going to talk a little bit about the AI world, since Mark is up to speed like a lot of us are on the AI. Earlier, we had a listener, Greg, email in and knew Mark was coming in and asking you guys talk a little bit further for us, beginner to intermediate talent, how the voiceover industry is going to be affected and is being affected by AI. So stick around for that coming up soon. And meanwhile, other than that, I think we're ready to jump right in and go for our first listener email. Let's roll right into that.
You're listening to VO Radio. The views, opinions, and insights shared are not necessarily those of other panelists, guests, and contributors on VO Radio and its broadcast programs. Advice, tips, opinions, and legal suggestions are based on industry experience of the individual co-host, panelist, guest, or contributor. These opinions and comments are not endorsed by or verified by VO Radio and its operators. Listener discretion is advised.
If you're like most voice talent today, you're wondering various things relating to your voiceover career. Well, VO Radio has your answers. Here's more questions answered by our panelists live on Let's Talk VO here on VO Radio.
Listen and learn. Internet radio for the voice artist, just like you.
All right. Thanks to Stephanie, one of our listeners, for reminding me. I skipped over, and I should have. She actually wrote in just now and said, hey, what's going on with the Who's That Voice? Did anybody win? Well, actually, Who's That Voice is going to be replayed again because we only had one person so far get it right. And I know that's not, we should give the prize to that one person, but we figured we'd give you another shot at it today. So Who's That Voice is going to be coming up later in the show. So stick around and for your chance to submit the form, and then we'll do the drawing and find out who the winner is, probably on Friday or Monday during the show, whatever have you. So meanwhile, let's go for it. We got a question from Sam in Louisiana. Is it ever okay to offer two talent together for one rate? And I think when we are reading this to share this question, I think more than likely he has a partner and or a spouse. So it's him and or his partner and or his wife or whatever have, unless that's a female, Sam. I think what they're talking about is there's a lot of couples out there these days that everybody knows who share basically, they offer a package deal to a lot of people. If there's a male and a female role or male and a female broadcast part in the commercial, they offer up the 2-for-1 deal. So basically, I'll pass this over to you, Bev and Dee. What do you think? Is it ever okay to offer two talent for the price of one, basically? What do you think about that?
My instinct is this is Bev. My instinct is to say no. If you were hiring two individual people, let's say you hired D and Bev to record the spot, you would pay for D and you would pay for Bev. Now, if you're trying to get the client, because this is something that happens often, and you're saying, hey, I can do both these voices and I'll give you a deal, I would do for one price, but not the same price as if just one person. I wouldn't maybe say double the price. I would say both of us for usage and maybe a discount because we're both here and it's easier for the client if you're trying to get a relationship. But I wouldn't discount it too much. You're still got two people that are blocking off X amount of time that have paid for training and paid for equipment. Now, maybe that's where you could say, because we're both in the same studio, you've saved money on only buying one set of equipment, you could maybe discount your price that way. But I would be cautious because you're ripping yourself off.
Yeah, because I remember back in the day, I had a lot of voice talent that were married couples, if you will, and they would actually sell themselves as a buy one, get one free type of thing. But the rates were a little bit higher than a solo artist. So I do remember husband and wife teams that would actually market themselves. I think that Jay at VoiceOver Collective, and I can't remember his spouse's or partner's name, but I think they do that a lot. They actually do projects together. I'm not sure what they charge rate wise, if it's just a higher rate or what they have, but that's a good point you brought up about discounting for don't have separate rates, but offer a discount.
I'm gonna go the opposite route.
What do you think, Dave? Go for it.
I'm gonna go the opposite route. I feel like you should definitely be charging more because also I'm taking care of casting for you too now. You know what I mean? You're not dealing with, you're trying to find two individuals. I've done this before where they're like, hey, do you know anybody, a female that would be suitable with clients, and I'm like, yeah, I do. But guess what? If you want me to negotiate things with them, like you're giving me another job to do that you need to be paying for.
Wow.
So simple as that. And then some of them are like, no. Some of them are like, yes, I have my short list stable of folks I know I can rely on the female spectrum, where I can be like, hey, got a client needs, what's your availability in the next 24 hours or whatever. So, and then, the rates are locked in and these are negotiated ahead of time. But I understand the whole thing with like a new client potentially. Like, I can see the idea of like, hey, I'll do this for you at a discounted rate. However, bear in mind, next time around, this is what it's going to cost. And I've done it that way before, but I don't look at it as, I look at it the opposite end, where it's not like you're being done a favor, you're doing them an extra favor, in my opinion, in my viewpoint. So it's, and again, it's obviously going to be different depending on where you're getting your casting from or where the job's coming from, whether it's freelance stuff or pay to plays or just you've done your own direct marketing, because, if it's coming from a casting, like a legitimate casting source, like agencies and management, things like that, like I don't see that happening. I mean, it's not going to be like your agent's going to be like, hey, do you know somebody? Because they'll have somebody.
Right.
And I've seen that, and I've been part of spots. We've all been part of spots where like there's multiple characters. Just because there's multiple characters doesn't mean that usage fee gets split.
Exactly.
You know what I mean? Like that usage fee is still applied to each individual who's working on that job. So, but with all that said, at the end of the day, it's your business. Run it however the F you want. It's nobody else's business what you charge or what you do and how you operate.
I love that. Yeah, that's a really good feedback. Hey, Sam, what I think you're hearing basically is it really depends on, in my opinion, it really depends on, are you marketing and branding and promoting yourself as a team? Do you share a website? Do you have both of you sitting together, and do you have a branding and imaging and marketing campaign that is about that?
JackandJillVO.com.
Right. That's your niche. Then go for it. I can't see how that could be a problem, but I would think that you would want to adjust the rate accordingly is what we're kind of saying. If you're going to sell both of you then adjust your price so that it reflects both of your ability as talent to get paid properly. Compensate yourselves accordingly. But you are offering, like Bev said, a little bit of discount because you're not sharing multiple studio costs, multiple overheads, multiple editing, and all the other stuff. You are being able to do all the projects together. So any final thoughts on that before maybe we ask one of our listeners that chimed in, and even Steve has joined us again. We can ask their opinion. What do you think, Bev? What's your final thoughts on that?
Well, before Steve says anything, it would be like, hey, Steve, you and I are going to work for, I'm in the area, I'm going to come into your studio and we're going to do a job for a client. Would you, or you've said, I've got the female that can do the read with me. How would you bill me out? At a discount because I'm doing it with you? Or right? Unmute and see what do you have to say?
Yeah, I love his looks at it all, I think. You know,
if you're separate talent and
Exactly.
you're working together, that's a different story than if you live together and reside together and you're selling yourself.
But even if you do and you're both professionals, aren't you entitled to, you know?
And then I think
properly.
too, like you're selling yourself short by saying because the two of us are going to do it in the same place, that we'll give you a discount. Like I don't know. It seems. I didn't get to hear the question, but just hearing what Bev said, my snapper is you each get your rate. You know, like it.
Yeah.
Well, basic what Sam wrote in and asked is it ever okay to offer two talent basically for the price of one?
Oh,
in other words, and I think what I read into it when I looked at the little paragraph that Sam had wrote in, I looked at it like it seemed like it was a couple environment. They lived together, they were married, they offered each other as a package deal. And I think that even if you have a website branding you as a team, if you will, that might be a different way of approaching the market. But if you're a friend of a friend and you live 40 miles away, or somebody lives in Honolulu and the other one lives in California, I think that's a totally different ballgame. So that's kind of what I think we're asking to comment on before we lock out here.
I think the trick with that too then is, so if I was the one that found the client, does that mean I get 60 and you get 40? Or is it 50-50?
See, there's another angle of the business.
How much content one produces versus the other? How do you split up that? Exactly. Good point.
Yeah. Now, if it was where you went to a client that okay, the price is X amount of dollars, but I can get you another one and it's now going to be XX is the amount, and the other talent is fully aware of how much they are getting, then sure, if everybody's okay with it. But I just think it's tricky when it comes to if the normal going rate is a certain amount,
right?
How are you breaking that down? And it's no.
And that's why when I do that with like a lot of the females I work with, I will send them like full disclosure, all the correspondence, because I don't want, you know what I mean? Because obviously they trust me in the first place if we're doing this, but at the same time, like I want that transparency, because let's face it, as voice actors, a lot of times we crave transparency in these, these contracts, these signed talent relationships, and we don't always get it. So I'm like, that's the full thing. So, you know what I mean? Also, I don't want my client maybe contacting them and trying to like,
Right.
You know what I mean? Like sometimes it'll happen, and it's just like that way. If everybody's on the same page, then there can be no discrepancies and nobody gets upset.
Like Bev was saying to me the other day, now we're rolling into a whole different world. But Bev, what's your final thoughts on this?
My final thought is if I read the way you've put the question, is it ever okay to offer two talent together for one rate? There's no one in there that says has to be male, female. It's just two people for one rate. The answer would be, sometimes it's okay to offer one rate if you are responsible to pay the other talent.
Right.
You come up with a single rate and you pay. I've done that many times.
Yep.
I've done it with friends. I've done it with family.
Share the love.
And I pay them. And on my business, it shows I had a subcontractor.
Yeah.
So
exactly. That's why I bill out. Like, I'm like, they have to send me an invoice.
Yeah. Yeah. If you look at it,
definitely.
The answer is yes.
Definitely great. Well, there's so many variables here. And I know that our own Sandy Thomas of Thomas Voice Imaging, him and his wife work together, and they actually do a lot of imaging packages for broadcast networks, and they offer their imaging together. So sometimes I see them promote he and her are
Yeah,
both on the content in the package. So I guess it all depends if you're a spouse or if you're a partnership or that's the purpose of your marketing.
And again, by genre, by type of genre, by what's the licensing, what's the usage, all that stuff comes into play. So at the end of the day, you just got to do what's best for both people that are party to that business,
Awesome.
And you can do the whole thing where it's like, he's gruff, I'm quirky. He's smooth, I'm quirky.
Good cop, bad cop thing. Yeah.
See? By the way, I'm available to write your scripts and do that for you, folks.
Hey, Sam, thank you so much. Great question. And we're going to take a quick break. We got 2 by phone that have joined us. We're going to see if we can't get them to give us some feedback later on other questions or if they have a question. Steve's joining us, and Mark Cashman is in the green room, and he is up next. So stick around here on Let's Talk VO. We'll be right back.
Enjoy that cucumber water, Mark.
Nava News Minute is brought to you by...
I'm Dawn Harvey, and I'm a voiceover artist, specializing in long-form narration, audiobooks, animation, and video games. If you're looking for a versatile performer with a huge toolbox full of voices, accents, and characters, please check out my demos at dawnofvoice.com. Or if you're looking for audiobook coaching or directing, I'd love to help you with that too. You can reach me at Dawn, that's D-A-W-N, at dawnofvoice.com. I'd love to hear from you. Thanks for listening to VO Radio.
Hey everybody, NAVA President Tim Friedlander here with your NAVA News Minute update. The SAG-AFTRA interactive strike is still making progress with AI protections in video games, and NAVA was excited to host a live town hall with some of the members of the Interactive Agreement Negotiating Committee. If you want to rewatch the town hall to learn more about the video game strike, you can do so on our website at navavoices.org under the Resources tab. NAVA debuted a new Best Practices for Kids in VO page this month, which includes resources for parents and a new contract writer just for minors. And finally, we're continuing to make headway on AI legislation at the state and federal levels. Thank you to everyone for all your support. To find out more info on NAVA, visit our website at navavoices.org. Thanks a lot.
Somebody has to be the best in the business.
Elevate your voice with NAVA, the National Association of Voice Actors. As a nonprofit association, NAVA is dedicated to the advocacy and protection of all our voices and for championing the equitable advancement of the voice acting industry. Visit the website at navavoices.org today. NAVA, together they can protect the future of voice acting and make our voices heard.
The new issue of the VoiceOver Resource Guide is out now. We've created a fully updated special video game strike edition of the VORG for you. 3 pages dedicated to strike info. So get yours today at one of our pickup locations near you. Or head to thevorg.net, get one shipped out, and we'll plant a tree when you do. How nice is that?
Your voiceover career is dynamic and moving fast, and market trends for voice actors are constantly changing. So having the right resources to stay on top of your game is critical to your success. That's why VO pros and newcomers alike rely on VoiceOverXtra.com daily as their one-stop resource for voiceover success. Cut through the social media noise and find the information you need fast at VoiceOverXtra.com. It's the right resource for you now.
Let's Talk VO Live on VO Radio. Interact with the show by texting 970-682-3424 or email your question to the show using the app email icon, radio player window, ask a question button, or send an email to ask@voradioonline.com. Let's Talk VO Live on VO Radio. It's here for you.
Welcome back, everybody. Today we are here with our almost regular Dee Alvarez and myself and Anthony Reese, station manager, station director, station I do everything guy. And we have some phone-in people. We have a phone-in person and a video-in person, Steve and I don't know who. And we have a special VIP guest. But before I tell you who that is. You can be part of our show, just like Steve and 1702 is. Just go to their website, voradioonline.com, click on the Let's Talk VO, and then scroll down the page, and you'll see how to video Zoom in live, or you can call in live at 970-682-3424, or just send us a text on that, and we'll be able to answer your questions. We'd love to have you on Mondays and Wednesdays when we do Let's Talk VO.
Hey, Bev.
Yeah.
What's my last name again?
I don't know. What did I call you? D. Alvarez?
You did, yes.
Alvarez, I heard that. I didn't want to say anything about it.
It's
I'm D. Alvarez of VO Horror Stories.
Say your last name. Oh my God.
I just rebranded. Maybe I have to rebrand again.
Who is that?
Only I was
Right.
bilingual.
It's
Why
D.
don't
I'm going to call you D.
Why don't we roll into our VIP guest here? How about that, everybody? Here we go.
This week's VIP guest interview is brought to you by
This is Tony Raimondo on VO Radio. I am one of the contributors that provides you information on VO technology and gadgets. I like sharing reviews on VO products and providing ideas and tips on maintaining and improving your home recording areas. I am a voice artist that you can reach for your projects and questions, and also provide me technology and gadget suggestions and ideas by going to trcvoiceovers.com. I look forward to hearing from you.
VO Radio, internet radio for the voiceover community.
Hi, this is Jody Krangle. Be sure to catch the audio branding podcast weekends during the Weekend Power Podcasts here on VO Radio. Check out the podcast section of the website for my weekend showtimes. Thanks so much and happy voicing.
Internet radio for the voice artists just like you.
Thanks for listening to VO Radio, internet radio for the voiceover community. VO Radio takes you up close and personal with some of the leading experts, trainers, coaches, and gurus within the voiceover industry. Now it's time for this week's VIP guest here on Let's Talk Live and VO Radio.
I'm still laughing at that. What's my name? D. Alvarez. I think that's going to be your new name now.
Started a few letters.
We're going to change the whole website to that.
I got to check with the wife first to make sure, but I'm going to change it. Yeah.
But that's what's so great about this whole VO Radio, Let's Talk VO thing. We're light, we have fun, and we're not taking things personally. It's a good time. Good time.
Yeah, we just have fun.
Hey,
so I mute, so darn. Now you know why.
We lost our 1702 caller. Unless you disconnect on purpose, feel free to call back in if you have a question you want to ask for Mark, who's joining us right now. Welcome, Mark Cashman. Hey, Mark.
Thank you for having me. It's great to see you and Bev and Dee. What's his name? And no, I'm only kidding. How you doing, guys? How are you doing?
We're so glad to have you, man. A lot of people were saying, when's Mark Cashman coming back on? So that's kind of funny. So I said, Stacey, get Mark to come back in, man. He's got a fan base out there, apparently. I can't imagine why. It's only been like 50 years you've been doing this, man. So
hey, he's a great coach. He was one of my first coaches, and he unlocked a lot of stuff that sent me down the right path. So thank you for that, sir.
Hey, for those that aren't familiar and have been living under a rock, as they say, give us a quick little 1, 2, 3 about what brought you to this point in your career, if you can synopsis that in like a minute or so.
Oh my God! What has brought me to this point in my career? I cannot believe it. I've been doing what I've been doing, kind of, for the past going back to the math, about 47 years.
Wow!
47 years. I came to Los Angeles to write and produce and cast radio and commercials, and did that for just 2-3 decades. And then about 25 years ago, I started teaching. And after all those decades of writing and producing and working with voice actors, and now 47 years later, I cannot believe, I have to pinch myself, I'm still doing what I basically came here to LA to do 47 years ago. I'm still writing, I'm still producing, I'm still casting. I'm also a voice actor, and also I wrote a book, VO, 10 years ago. Actually 11 years ago, 2014, I wrote this book, and believe it or not, just the past year, I finally finished the audiobook for this. It took me 10 years to do the audiobook of my own book. Why? Because after I wrote this, I started recording, and I got about halfway through the book, and all of a sudden I got so busy I had to put it on the back burner. And I kept staying busy for the next 10 years. And I mean, busy. So just the past year, it slowed down just a little bit. So I was able to finish the last half of my audiobook, which is going to be on Audible by the end of this month. It's going to be on Audible. And the really cool thing is that also in the past 10 years, I've written a second book.
That's what I was
and
asking.
so I'm going to be, so this year I'm also going to be coming out with my new book, my second book, my sequel, and the audiobook to that one as well. So I have been busier than a long-tailed cat in a room full of rocking chairs.
What's going to be the title of the new one?
The new one, actually, this one again calls VO. The new one is called, and nobody knows this, only you guys, you're privy, ready for this? The new one is called V-OMG.
Is it really?
That's the sequel.
I love it. That's a perfect sequel.
V-OMG. I love that. That's impressive.
OMG.
Now, are you going to wait another 10 years to do audiobook of that? Or are you going to
No. That's it. I've got the momentum now. So right now I am in the middle of the rewrite for the sequel, and so I'm just going just doing all the editing, and hopefully within the next month or two I'll be done with that and start recording the sequel. And so my goal is by the end of this year to have both books up on Audible and the second book out there, and it's a continuation of the first book. It's basically, in fact, the subtitle is Even More Tips, Tricks, Tools, and Techniques to Start and Sustain Your Voiceover Career. So it literally is a sequel. And what's really cool was after I finished the first book, I was working with my students, and we're working on something, and one of my students said, "Was that in your book?" And I said, "You know what? That wasn't in my book." So I just took out a piece of paper and wrote second book, and then wrote the topic that we talked about, and I just kept adding topic after topic after topic. And after just about a year or two, all of a sudden I realized I had a second book. I couldn't believe it.
Right.
Yeah, because I'm sure you've learned plenty of other things that are going to be useful for people.
Right.
In these past 10 years between books. So
yes, absolutely.
Before I toss this to Bev and D. Alvarez, let me ask you, because Kathy just wrote in, one of our listeners, and I swear we always say, we're ignoring our listeners too much via PM. Kathy writes, what would you say is your favorite genre as a voice actor if you still do voiceover work? Well, you obviously still do voiceover work. So what is your favorite genre that you participate in? Because you're in everything, right? You're involved in all kinds of stuff.
All sorts of stuff. I would say my favorite genre, believe it or not, is long form. It's audiobooks. And my favorite genre is audiobooks for what they call young readers, 7 to 12.
Oh, nice.
7 to 12, only because you can have so much fun, particularly for fiction, obviously. You can have so much fun with those characters. You can go a little bit over the top and they still won't roll their eyes. They're still young and impressionable. They're still, I consider 7 to 12 that a magical, absolutely magical age. Yeah. Magical. Yeah. And so that's the one area where you can be silly as an adult and still entertain children.
Yeah, they still have imaginations
without them rolling their eyes.
Haven't been polluted yet. Exactly right.
Yeah,
that's cool. I did not know that. I don't know if any other panels knew. I did not know that that was one of your specialty niche areas of that tween age. Bev Standing, you want to take over? You got any questions for Mark? You know him pretty well.
Yeah, I do know Mark. I've coached with him a number of times at conferences. I always go to his sessions, and it's been wonderful. And we sat, was it VO Atlanta last year? We sat for half an hour, 45 minutes, just sitting talking about life in general, and it was really, really fun. But here's a question for you, Mark. Yeah. Out of all the different things you do, you're a writer, you're an author of a book, you direct, you coach, you perform. What's your favorite?
Wow. it's, I swear to God, I'm so lucky in the fact that I do wear so many different hats, and each one of them is totally satisfying. When I'm working with a talent and they come out with something absolutely beautiful, I'm over the top. It's beyond the beyonds. I'm just beyond the beyonds happy to hear and see a wonderful performance, and to know that I had at least a part in that. I don't take credit for it. But again, I know that I contributed to it. So, and particularly when the person I'm directing is really, really happy, then I'm happy too. I celebrate with them. As a performer, as well as I do that some projects we just get transported.
Yeah.
It's not just a job. It's an experience. And
sometimes it's the one you don't expect going in. Right?
Yes, absolutely, absolutely. So that's obviously that's why we have been performers since we've been little. Right. Most people who were doing this were performers when they were children, in some way, shape, or form.
Yeah, whether formal or they just like to be the center of attention of the life of the party or the class clown. Yeah.
Yeah, but usually the performance part is just something that just keeps the gift that keeps on giving. So the performance side is wonderful. The writing side is terrific too, because it's just, when you finally get this stuff down and out on paper and it makes sense, the most important thing obviously is the fact that it's a legacy. These books and all the work that I do will live long after I'm gone. All of us, we are actually eternal in the fact that after we are gone, our voices, our performances will live on and on and on. Our children, our grandchildren, if we have any, are going to be able to hear us. We've immortalized ourselves, and we're extraordinarily lucky to do that. So I enjoy wearing all of the different hats, because they equally give me something fun, and that is really the three-letter word fun, that we always have to imprint across our forehead. Fun, because if you're not having fun, why are you doing this?
Right. Well said. Good
Hey,
wisdom.
On top of that, I was wondering, because you were mentioning how audiobooks is something you do so much of. How weird is it, or is it different or weird or strange or whatever, to record an audiobook that you wrote the actual book? Like, what's the mentality there? I would imagine it's got to be unique.
The beauty of it is that normally when I'm narrating an audiobook written by somebody else, I've got to adhere to every single word they wrote. When I'm narrating my own audiobook, if I feel like changing it up a little bit, I can. I'm the author, so it's
ad-lib a little bit.
So I'm, there's just a little bit of wiggle room. I don't stray too much because I want to be, want to at least be faithful to the text. But if I see something that I want to change, I can change it. It's really easy. Here's the fun thing. So I recorded the entire book with two exceptions: the foreword, which was written and narrated by James Allberger. James Allberger did my foreword.
That's really nice.
Which was really nice. And then so I'm going through the whole book, and then I get to the very, very end of the book, which is my biography. And I said, wait a second, I can't do my own biography. That's weird. That sounds weird. Talking about myself in the third person sounds very weird. So fortunately, I had one of my my technical director, admin, a person who's helped me out for years. He's a voice actor. He's French Canadian. His name is R.P. Singh, and I asked him to do my biography, and he I had to twist his arm, but and pay him a little bit. But no, I'm only kidding. He did
had
it.
To send him the money sooner or later.
Yes, exactly. Extorted me for the. But that said, no, I'm only kidding. So he did a beautiful job of my biography. So those are the only two voices that aren't in my book.
That's so cool. Anything else, Dee, or want to go to a little bit of a question?
I was saying, he was talking about when we die and long after we're gone, our voices live on. But
that's right.
Did we sell them and allow that to happen? I guess leading us to that part of the conversation.
Oh, there's a whole nother topic. Let's get into a question that somebody had. I teased it up a bit before we brought you out of the limo and the caviar and stuff. So somebody wrote earlier, he heard you're going to be on the show, and basically, I think it was the same guy. Two different people did, but one of them wrote this yesterday, and I swore I would get to it today on the show, and another one asked about it earlier. We're going to talk for a few minutes, if you don't mind, about AI. Last time you were on the show with us, you really gave us a really nice point of view. I know we only have you for a handful of minutes more because you have to scoot out real quick today, but what's your opinion if a voice talent, a beginner getting into the career, and a beginner who's already working into the intermediate portion of the career, even for old dogs and sardines like people that have been in the business forever, like Bev and me and Deb and Dee and everybody and yourself, what do you think you would say to somebody who says the voiceover industry is probably going to die because of AI? What's your thoughts about that in a nutshell, about the longevity of the VO career with AI emerging around the corner like it is?
Oh boy, that's such a huge topic. And actually, we are we're extraordinarily lucky in the fact that we are in the presence of the person who basically first confronted AI head on.
That's right,
and that's Miss Bev Standing.
That's right.
She is the absolute first. She is the face of standing up to AI.
That's right.
And the poster child. And I am absolutely honored to just be on the same panel with this.
We should all be holding up our Bics right now, flicking our Bics, man. Because
my head's not going to fit this room. Stop.
Yeah, but it's true.
You were the trendsetter, so to say,
you were
the pioneer.
The first.
So
you were the first. You were the Joan of Arc. You were the person to stand up there. That said, our views of AI are going to evolve just like AI is evolving. I, for years, talked about speech recognition and how it was getting better and better and better, and it's getting better and better and better. Machines are learning how to mimic us, how to mimic our sound based on algorithms, not based on emotions. So I want to, to address the question about young people, beginners, no matter what the age, coming in and saying, I don't know if I should get into VO because everybody's going to be replaced by robots.
That's what I'm hearing a lot of lately.
So I'm going to give you an analogy. Here's how I look at AI. I look at AI as 12 galloping horses, where we only have the reins on the first two, the back two, and the next 10 we don't have the reins on. We are trying to put reins on them as they are galloping, as we are going. We're on for a wild ride, and we're holding on for dear life and hoping that we can keep up with the thing that we've created, this new robot. It's a robot. That's what I always want to remind people of. Right now, at this moment, I'm not saying that things can't change, but right now, one of the biggest differences between AI and human beings is the fact that they're robots and we're human beings. They're machines. They cannot think on their own. They cannot make any jokes on their own. They can't emote on their own because they don't understand emotions because they're not human. And that is the biggest difference. We've seen all the higher human that's going to get more and more and more. And people are going to, and we've already gotten backlash about AI. Oh, I hate that AI voice. Oh, that's that AI voice again. Yeah. Oh, I can't stand that AI voice. We are rebelling against AI. We're like Will Smith in iRobot. You know how he just hated robots. Okay, and we're that's where we are right now. That said, you've got to keep your eyes in the back of your head here because AI is coming. It is trying every day mightily to replace us. It's already replaced some of us. I look at AI as a bottom feeder, like a lobster or a crab. Right. It just eats all the stuff on the bottom of the ocean. It does all the jobs that nobody else wants. I call it the agricultural worker of voiceover. They do shit that human beings don't want to do. Plus, they give people an incentive. ABC Publishing decides they want to do a new version of the New Testament. Bob Jones will do that, and it'll take a month for him to do it, but Bob will do it for X amount of money. But you have to hire Bob, you have to hire an editor, you've got to hire a team to get that out there, as opposed to the publisher saying, fuck this. pardon my French,
That's
I can go to a robot, I can go to AI, and they can have it done by the time I come into the office tomorrow morning. They don't have to pee, they don't have to eat, they don't have to sleep, they don't have to do anything, and they will take over that job. We've already had people they've eliminated a lot of stuff that we won't do or we don't like to do, or the publisher says it doesn't, I have no incentive to hire a human being.
Yeah, and I actually tell my students that are beginners and intermediates or old dogs or come back to refresh themselves to be able to compete, that you got to think of it from that perspective. You got to think of it like the reality is, I call it cut and paste voiceover. You basically can cut and paste anything you want the AI to read. That's what they do with a lot of these e-learning, especially nowadays. But if you want a human being to be directable, that's, I think, where we're going to be able to stay in our niche.
That's exactly
what you thought
right.
about that, and Bev probably can even chime in. And I think that's what we have. That's going to be our saving grace until they can figure out how to take that directability and plug it into an interactive type of voice command type of thing, where you can actually say, what would you like me to read next? I would like a little more motion, a little bit more energy, a little bit faster read. Okay, try this. And that is where we'll have a problem if they ever get to that point. Do you think that'll ever happen? Or Bev, what do you think about that?
They already have that.
They do?
Yes. I watched a presentation once with this company that showed how they could adjust the cadence, the timing, the pace, the everything. And then once they did all that, once the engineer knew how all to do that, and he goes, and then we got a call from the client saying they want to go female. And he went flick, and all those changes were now female, but all the inflection, all.
So they could actually take the interaction that you give them directive wise and run with that, spit it right back?
There is World Voices is working on that too. We have to learn how to be able to do that, maybe with our own voice. I don't know. I think there's a place for AI in this world. I have used it just recently, but it was my voice on a project I voiced, and I needed to fix one word. So I used it while I was in an airport going to VO Atlanta. And that was perfect. My client was happy. It was quick. It was done. It's still my voice, and I'm still in control of it, which is, Nava's thing. And I remember asking, Jay Michael said, if you work for the Department of Defense, you can't have an AI voice. They won't hire you. And I said to him, well, what about me? And he said, you're out of luck. Like, your voice is already there. So I have no say in that matter. But the number of people, you probably saw the article, Mark. LA Times just interviewed Nava, myself, and about 7 other talents that have all had their voice stolen. And it was, they just, Tim posted the newspaper on the site, but it's happening everywhere. And somebody came up to me and said, I'm the voice of this avatar on TikTok. I don't know what to do. And I said, these are my suggestions. And the bottom line was, oh, you were on this site? I don't think you have a leg to stand on.
That's
so
mind-blowing.
We're in trouble, and they are getting better and better. However, I will say, I just listened to a male voice who you hear all the time on TikTok videos and Insta videos, and he couldn't say the word refrigerate or cucumber correctly.
Pronunciation
He's
gives it away sometimes.
And that guy's being used on TV commercials now,
That's
too.
right.
So
I've heard of
And
it.
I think it's, it's like anything. Oh, it's new. This is easy. This is fast. And, Mark, like you said, I don't know who said it. I don't know who said it first, but I've heard it from a couple of very established talent. Cucumbers, fits, computers or robots, AI voices, cloned voices can sound sad, but they cannot feel sad. And
that
that's
blows my mind.
That's what Mark was saying, is those emotions. We have to find that emotion from within and bring it up to make your own ears stand on end when you're saying a script.
Well, I know
Have you
we
ever
only have
heard a
about 3
computer laugh?
3 more minutes with you. I know, Mark. So what's your thought about that? You like Bev, then I'm way out to lunch. Is that already available? You can actually give direction live in a session to AI and have it give you that right back in a real recording environment?
With limitation.
Yeah.
Okay, with limitations. All right. No robot can ad-lib. No robot can improv.
Yep.
No robot can come up with something that's going to make somebody hysterical or shed a tear or just feel verklempt or whatever the case may be. No robot can do that. I don't think any robot will ever be able to do that because it's not human. We communicate with other human beings in a way that we have been doing for millions of years. Millions of years. Robots, yes, they are great mimics. They're wonderful mimics. They can impersonate us and sound like us, but not produce on demand like us. I always say that I've said for a long time, AI is what I consider good enough.
Good enough.
Good enough. Adequate. Good enough, but not spectacular. Never, oh my God.
Yeah, not award winning. Exactly.
Not anything that's going to send us over the moon. So to answer those people who the question is, should I get into voiceover now given what AI is doing? Absolutely yes. You're an actor. Okay, and is it going to be easier to replace our voices than somebody on camera? Yes, but it's working very, very hard to replace on camera people as well, to create another Max Headroom, 21st century Max Headroom, and then some. It's inevitable. The evolution of AI.
Right.
However, we created AI. AI didn't create us. We created AI. So, and again, humans versus robots, there's, as Bev says, there's going to be a certain thing that AI is going to be able to do well in different areas. We know that AI is going to be great for crunching numbers, for the next genetic breakthrough, for space exploration, for all sorts of things that would take us thousands of years to do. They can compute and crunch those numbers. That's great. But in terms of the arts, I think it's a wannabe. AI is a wannabe.
Nice. A poser.
Yeah.
Nice. Oh my God. Well, there you go, Greg and
stuff,
Trisha, and who else wrote that in earlier? Dwayne. There you go. Food for thought. Bev standing, she's the frontier pioneer, first one to take it head on and say, I'm not going to take it anymore. Damn it, I'm pissed off.
Yeah.
And her
art
new,
requires
her new
soul.
Kava and Nava and people like Mark and all of us out there, we're all pro voiceover industry. And you got a lot of people doing what they can to protect the AI world from dominating and taking over. And at the end of the day, what it comes down to is listen back to this, go back to this whole video and listen to the segment with Mark, and you're going to get some good food for thought. If you're scared and you're freaked out and a little bit nervous about what's happening, just push right on through it. Embrace it. You know what? Find it. Think about what it's going to do good for mankind, but embrace it to the point of where you got to remember we're still human beings.
We're always going to have to live with it. It's going to be a tool and part of our current, present, and our not too distant future. So, you can't fight it completely. So just make peace with it and find out how you can utilize it to benefit what you do on a day-to-day.
You got it.
Let the chips fall where they may, because you can't control the end result. What you can do is control how you respond to what's going on. And
well said.
My choice is to just keep on sharpening my chops and being a better actor. And
thank you.
That's it. Yeah. Nice. Well said. Hey, let's wrap up things. Mark, where can they find your book? When will they find the new book coming out and the audiobook and all that fun stuff, and plug how they can get a hold of you for their interest?
Absolutely. You can pretty much get all that stuff on my website, which is CashmanCommercials.com, CASHMAN, commercials, plural.com. You can email me anytime at Mark, M-A-R-C, at CashmanCommercials.com. Oh, speaking of Mark, M-A-R-C, AI doesn't recognize Mark, M-A-R-C.
Yeah, it's M-A-R-K, right?
It only writes M-A-R-K.
I've seen that.
On the little things down at the bottom there. So it's not as smart as it thinks it is. And again, it's very natural. It's normal to be intimidated by something this overwhelming and something that's it's coming, and everybody's scared of it. And also, it's also made inroads, and it's also made a lot of headaches and been a pain in the ass for people like Bev and a lot of other people whose voices have been stolen. Thank God that Tim and his organization are fighting for us every single day down in Washington, which is great. So anybody who doesn't know about that, please support NAVA and all their work so that so we can get some at least some kind of legal protection.
Here.
And what was your original question to me, Anthony?
I think basically that was it. How to plug, where they can reach you.
Oh, that's right. That was right.
I
went into all this other stuff. So so my website, you got my email. If you go on Amazon and you just type in VOOH, you'll come up with my book, and you'll be able to download it. You can even download it on Kindle. Right now this month I am getting this book up on ACX. So by the end of the month, it should be up there, and you can download that. And anybody who's got my book can contact me with any questions anytime. I'm one of those people who gets back to everybody, and again, we're part of this insane community, and we are so lucky that now we can communicate and be in touch with each other all the time. In the very beginning, again, we didn't have any of this stuff, but now it's amazing what our industry has turned into. And I think our industry, in part in terms of being in the entertainment industry, because this is really show business, maybe an anonymous side of show business, but it's still show business. I think our business, voice work, is one of the most, if not the best, community supported community. I have never seen any kind of support anywhere near what we do on a day-to-day, month-to-month, year-to-year basis.
It is an anomaly.
It is,
especially in the entertainment
business. I don't see anybody else supporting each other like us.
Bev and me and Monday we're just talking about it with Stacy and Peter Drew, but the exact subject is basically this is what the VO community is so much different than every other industry out there. The people are all supportive of one another. Like she said, people are sharing the love big time at VO Atlanta this year. So anyways, hey, Mark Cashman was with us. If you missed that interview, guess what? You can hear the encore of the entire show tomorrow at 5 p.m. Eastern time. And also the excerpt of his VIP guest interview will be on the website within the next 24 hours as well. So Mark, thanks for being part of the show today, man. We really appreciate your time.
Thank you, Anthony. Thank you so much for inviting me. Dee, it's always great to see you.
Yeah,
Bev, it's always wonderful to see you as well. And I miss Stacy and everybody else who may not have been able to make it today. It doesn't really matter. That's, we're all part of this. And I'm so honored that you invited me. And
thank you for being here, man.
Thank you, guys.
You're welcome here anytime. And make sure to catch Mark in our bag of tips here on the 24/7 VO radio broadcast. Mark has 2 or 3 different features rotating in that bag of tips to find out on the program section of the website when those air throughout the day. Hey, we're going to take a quick break and we're going to come back with the Who's That Voice? Stick around.
This week's Events and Happenings is brought to you by...
Take care, guys.
The darkest hour when the night unfolds, I'm a lioness ready to take control.
Hi, I'm Bev Standing, a voice actor in Canada, and I started my journey in the VO world in 2008 and have not looked back.
No one can hold me down.
If you want to talk to me personally about coaching, just message me at bev@bevstanding.com, or you can contact me through my website, bevstanding.com.
Hey, y'all. This is Ali, chef with Events and Happenings. If you want to go somewhere pretty cool, get mic'd, well, they've got their Ultimate VO Survivor Weekend Retreat, and that will be June 27th through June 30th. It is an opportunity for workshops, panels, team building, risk-taking, awakening, adventure, pool, spa, fire pit, karaoke, games. It is a lot of fun. It's a retreat, and I highly recommend it. And as always, folks, if you have an event or you have a happening that you would like us to announce and share with the VO Radio community, please reach out to us. Have a great day.
It's J. Michael Collins from VO Atlanta, and I'm thrilled at all the great things VO Radio is doing. It's a great asset for our community, and I'm a proud listener and guest. Now, did you know that you don't have to go to VO Atlanta to be at VO Atlanta? As a special thank you to the VO Radio community, we're offering 25% off all the VO Atlanta content from each of the past 3 years. We're talking hundreds of hours of content from the top people in the industry, sharing all their insights into how to make your VO career more successful. It's the biggest conference in the industry on demand in HD high-quality video replay. Just go to voatlanta.me, that's voatlanta.me, and redeem code VOA-replay-25. That's all caps, VOA-replay-25. Enjoy the conference from the comfort of your own home and keep enjoying VO Radio like I do. Thanks again from me, CEO Anna Collins, and everybody at VO Atlanta.
VO Radio, Internet radio for the voiceover community.
Hi, this is Jody Krangle. Be sure to catch the audio branding podcast Weekends during the Weekend Power Podcasts here on VO Radio. Check out the podcast section of the website for my weekend showtimes. Thanks so much and happy voicing.
Internet radio for the voice artists just like you.
Let's Talk VO Live on VO Radio. Interact with the show by texting 970-682-3424 or email your question to the show using the app email icon, radio player window, ask a question button, or send an email to ask@voradioonline.com. Let's Talk VO Live on VO Radio. It's here for you.
We are here for you every Monday and Wednesday at 5 p.m. Eastern, my friends. D. Alvis, or Alvarez, as some might call it, joined with Bev Standing, who I adore, Anthony Reese. So great to have Mark Cashman on, giving his insights on everything. Mark's just such a wonderful resource of knowledge and wisdom and inspiration. So thank you, Mark. And thank you to all of you folks who've been listening throughout this program. And if you missed any part of it, of course, the encore tomorrow at 5. And you'll have all the back catalog of previous episodes that you may or may not have missed or at the website. So head on over to voradioonline.com. Speaking of going to the website, if you want to enter our contest, because we've got coming up right about now, Who's That Voice?
This week's Who's That Voice is sponsored by...
Hey there, VO Radio listeners. It's D here, your friendly neighborhood tattoo VO. For those who don't know, I'm a voice actor and audio producer helping clients all over the world. If you need your message to stand out so that you can leave an indelible mark, reach out at tattoovo.com or search Tattoo VO on your favorite social media app and see why hundreds of clients in over 60 countries trust their brand at Tattoo VO. Till then, keep shining. Tattoo VO, lending a voice to those who demand to be heard.
Who's that voice?
I beg your pardon.
Do you have a knack for knowing a voice? Can you recognize a voice with your eyes closed?
Oh, I just rescued a tiger.
VO Radio wants to give you a chance to win free coaching, online courses, and other great stuff.
Greetings, Earthlings.
Listen to Let's Talk VO and VO2B for the weekly voice of the day.
There's a secret mission.
Then fill out the Who's That Voice contest entry, and you'll be added into our weekly drawing on the Let's Talk VO Live the following Monday.
I think that I've lived like 3 lives.
Now let's test your ability to recognize a voice with this week's Who's That Voice?
Well, I heard Anthony Reese at the end there, and I heard Stacey Barrow at the beginning. What do I win?
You got to fill out the form first, man.
I did not fill out the form. You got to go to the website. So go to VO Radio Online, go to the listener section, hit that menu, then you'll scroll down and see contest, go to the contest. Then you know the answer, fill out the form. You could be our lucky winner. And this week's prize is a free hour of coaching with our very own Chef Deb Monroe. Our last winner was Keith Clinkscales, so he got the free downloadable digital webinar voiceover extra, which is super cool. So who's going to be our winner this week? Let's find out. Roll that footage, Anthony.
Just think, our whole family packed together on a long, slow trip across country.
Okay, so we're going to go ahead like we did the other day. That's a short one. We're going to go ahead and give it a second run through.
Ooh,
and here's your
tricky.
second chance. So here we go. Listen closely one more time.
Just think, our whole family packed together on a long, slow trip across country.
He's like thinking hard. I know that voice. I found that like 19 people have tried and only one, like I said, got the voice right. So that's why I figured today we'll play it twice, give them a second shot at hearing it. So, hey, here is a little hint. The tip to do: listen to the show tomorrow. If you have to even fast forward to the on demand and listen to the clip a few times, and I guarantee you it'll grow on you and you'll figure it out.
Yeah, there's a certain subtlety to the way they end their words sometimes. Not the most famous quote from a movie from this particular person too, because I'm a huge fan of theirs, and I'm not sure I would have gotten that on the first try.
Yep. For sure. So we had a few people, like I said, try, quite a few actually, and only one got it right. And she's already been a winner, but if nobody else gets it right, we can randomly put our finger on just one person. Well, it's a default. She's going to win. So for sure. So, hey, let's go ahead and wrap things up. But don't forget about the rebroadcast encore tomorrow. Don't forget about the VO2B. We're hoping on pulling off another one on Friday. A lot of people out of town right now, so hopefully I can get enough panelists to join in. We can do the VO2B on Friday. And make sure that you check out, like Bev was promoting earlier, go to the listener section of the website, participate in that What's Your Story, participate in the Audition Underground, participate in the Day in the Life segment we started recently. And there's other stuff like the contest and other things. And if you are a singer, we have that new Vocalist that has been running, Vocalist, and you can be part of the Vocalist. We've had 3 songs come in this week alone, so we're up to like 32 or they're rotating of independent VO talent voiceovers artist songs. So if you are a singer and you have a song in the can, go ahead and take advantage of being part of that.
I'm writing the next great rock opera, so you'll probably get to debut it on VO Radio.
You know, and it's funny. One guy wrote in the other day, and he said, dude, I sang songs back in the 80s and 90s. Can I still submit? I was like, why not?
Oh,
You don't have to be a current voiceover artist singer right now. It'd be nice to hear your rendition of, Thank You or whatever from Mahana. And feel free to do that Broadway type of stuff or movie themes or whatever. But if you have a track that you laid down several years ago, even a good quality cover, then send it through, because you're doing a cover. We can play it on the air just like all of our other music list licensed covers. So enough said. Let's go ahead and wrap things up, giving our final thoughts, starting with you, Bev Standing. What's your final thoughts for today?
This one's an easy for me. For those of you that want to do AI, please, for the love of whoever you believe in, don't do it because it's offering $10,000 if it's going to mean you are training AI systems. I have seen so many, they're going to pay you $6,000, $8,000, $12,000 so they can train voices to do audiobooks. Read what they are asking. Read that they're saying, we're going to be able to have this and do whatever we want with it, because you might make 10 grand, but that's all you'll ever going to make.
Yeah, don't get the quick payday and ruin the rest of your career and ruin it for everybody else too.
If people stopped auditioning for those, they might go away. But I go in as an online casting, and it's like they're going to take 50 and 12 people have replied before I even see it. And I'm like, really? No, stop.
I deleted my profile on some of these platforms because I'm like, no.
Right.
I can't support your platform if you're supporting the end of us.
And I got to tell you, triggered off of Bev, your point there, actually had Robert Trippetti, who's one of my voiceover talent students that is now competing and trying to make his career take off. He's an old broadcast sales guy. He's been in radio for about 25, 30 years. He actually got another audition again today from a LA-based studio. And when I went and investigated the studio, I was quite surprised how reputable they are, how many talent were on the roster, and how they have like a team of like 12 executives and very well established. But they were sending out an audition for exactly that. It was a total buyout for like $2,000 of like 10,000 word training. It basically is in a way of saying it. We want you to give us your AI voice, and by the way, we own it, and you can't do anything about it. And the reality is, avoid those like the plague, just like Bev was saying. So for sure.
On my final note, I hate to do this, guys, but I've got to run. There's someone at my door. Have a great evening, and we'll see you next time.
Take it easy. D, final thoughts, man. We'll wrap up.
Hey, just want to say again, at the end of the day, you can worry about AI if that's going to bother you. I get it, especially if you're like fresher to the business, but please understand that the majority of people who care about their brands, who care about their products, who care about their services, they don't trust AI. Right. So there's always going to be a market for people who have talent. So just keep working on your craft, keep working with your coaches, keep doing your research and doing your due diligence, and you'll find there's so many jobs out there. There's a million ways to make money in this industry. It doesn't always have to be the glamorous stuff. There are plenty of people who make six figures and you've never heard their voice because it's not necessarily going to be heard on anything grandiose. So
that's right.
If you really are passionate about what you're doing and want to believe and work hard and make it in this business, you can. Just don't worry about the boogeyman and all the other noise, because every industry goes through some stuff like this. Every few years, it's a cycle of, this thing's going to be the end of us. And guess what? We're still here. We're cockroaches, right, Anthony? We're the cockroaches.
I remember when that was the big Y2K thing. Remember, everybody had to have their IT guys go around it. And it was like the end of the world's coming. All the computers are going to crash. They're all programmed to stop in 1999. Not a thing freaking happened, man. Everybody's freaking out, right? I paid my then IT guy to come into our studios, machines, and our entire network, and I spent thousands of dollars for him to Y2K proof everything, and not a thing happened. All the other people I knew that didn't do that were laughing at me because I spent like $3,800 or whatever it was. So yeah, man.
Yeah, no, I don't blame you, because if you had a business, you were kind of that's a risk you did not want to take.
That's for sure you did.
Yeah.
Hey, great show. Thanks for being part of it, D. D Alvis, by the way. If you check out his VO horror stories, you're going to hear some really unique stuff that is going to help save you from his own stuff that he's gone through to help you avoid the pitfalls that you don't have to go through. Listen to the VO horror stories, and you're going to hear some stuff that you can learn from his experience, words of wisdom stuff, so to say. So, hey, broadcast tomorrow, 5 p.m. Eastern time. Meanwhile, see you soon, everybody.
Thanks for listening to VO Radio and Let's Talk VO. Now we will return you to programming already in progress.